A very warm welcome to the Honorable Minister of HRD and Communications and Information Technology, Government of India, Shri Kapil Sibal. Hearty welcome, sir. We are immensely pleased to have you here. May I request Dr. Pradeep K. Datta, Chairman ISA, to welcome the Minister, please.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. At ISA, we always save the best for the last. I know you have just sat through an entire day of this conference, and I got a little bit admonished by the minister earlier here that I should not be taking too much time to introduce someone who you already know so well. But sir, please, with your kind permission, at least I need to make a few points because our relationships go a long way. ISA had their first Frost and Sullivan report released by Minister Kapil Sibal in 2005. And from then on, we have grown in stature. Our Frost and Sullivan report now is considered an industry benchmark. And as you know, we have moved from semiconductors to ESDM. And as we go into the next level of report, we will come back to you, sir. I think, I would definitely like our members to also understand that this is the minister who architected this new triad of policies on IT, telecom, and electronics, which has given the foundation of the national policy on electronics. I will definitely be very brief, but I think the audience here needs to know that he is a graduate of the Harvard Law School. He is an expert in constitutional law. He was the Additional Solicitor General of India, and he has been 3 times the president of the Supreme Court Bar Association. And if I can add, in 1993, he was the very first lawyer to have ever had the privilege of addressing the parliament. He was the Science and Technology Minister, at which time, he tried to raise the scientific temper in the youth. He went to Antarctica. He saw the base of Maitri. Then, he also became in 2009, the Minister of Human Resource and Development, and the phenomenal work that he is doing in order to make sure that every child has right to education. And he's also doing a lot of work in terms of changing the higher education structure of the country. Since November 2010, he is also entrusted with the responsibility of Information and Technology Ministry and Communications. That's where ISA had the privilege of working with you, sir. And the work that is going on in fact, that was the theme of some of the presentations earlier today. A mobile phone is not just a phone device. It's a device for empowerment, and that's what Shri Sibal is driving. And the Akash tablet, we all have heard about that and get continually excited by it. The work that his ministry has done on National Optical Fiber Network, on National Knowledge Network, Electronic Service Delivery Bill. So, and of course, he is also a philanthropist. He has worked with lots of charities all over the world. I know in the interest of time, and he has got a flight to catch, so I'll be very short here, but it will be remiss of me, especially with some of our dignitaries from around the world sitting here, if I didn't tell them, there's one more secret to our minister. He is passionate about poetry. In the last few years, he has actually written 2 books on poems. And I must add, most of it was written 36,000 feet above the ground on his handheld device, using the SMS text message lingo. So this is really a modern generation, an eminent jurist, a compassionate visionary, a proactive politician, and a mentor to ISA. Ladies and gentlemen, Sri Kapil Sibal.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Shri Partha Chatterjee, Minister in charge, Department of Commerce and Industry, Information Technology, Public Enterprises. Dr. Pradeep Datta, Chairman ISA. Dr. Satya Gupta, Vice Chairman ISA. PVG Menon, President ISA. Distinguished secretaries and CEOs, global leaders from the industry. My friends in the media, very insistent friends in the media, ladies and gentlemen. It really is a pleasure for me to be here this evening because it's about talking about something that is exceptionally close to my heart in the context of a changing world where the new horizons are yet to be seen. And that's where this industry is moving. The diffusion of the internet and related applications have given rise to new markets and new business relationships for semiconductor companies. This phenomena has long-term implications for emerging new world order by characterizing the markets and relationships across three segments of internet-related applications: business, consumer, and infrastructure. Integrated circuits or chips lie at the heart of all internet-related services, but their importance in terms of value-added contribution varies across these segments. Today, electronics is the largest and fastest growing manufacturing industry in the world. We know that current global electronics hardware production is around US $1.75 trillion. And by 2020, I believe that it's going to grow up to $2.4 trillion. On the domestic front, electronic-driven industry has emerged as a contributor to the national economy. Indian electronics hardware production constitutes only around 1.3% of global electronics production and around about 2% of India's GDP. The workforce employed in the industry was at the level of 1.6 lakhs, 160,000 in 2010, and is expected to grow to 234,000 by 2012, with the accumulated aggregated growth rate of about 20%. The electronics hardware production increased from 56,000 crores in 2005-06 to 121,760 crores in 2010-11, registering a compound annual growth rate of 16.5%. So obviously the ESDM industry in India needs strong attention of policymakers for three reasons. The first, of course, is the most obvious. No country can afford an import bill in the electronics industry of $300 billion. At this point in time, the market in India is around 45 billion. And as the electronics industry, consumer industry grows, we believe that by 2020 this will reach 400 billion. The domestic market will supply about 100 billion, and the balance will be from imports. And I don't think any country, especially a developing country, can afford that kind of an import bill. This is going to be larger than the import bill of crude oil in India. So I don't think that that in India can sit back and wait for the industry to grow in other parts of the world and pay the kind of import bill that I'm talking about. So we need really strong attention to make a paradigm shift to ensure that fabrication takes place in India and the industry grows in India. So this is one good reason why we should do so. Two, electronics is a meta resource which has significant control over the quality of products and services of critical sectors of the economy, the automobile sector, the aviation sector, the health sector, the media, the defense, and several others. So, and there's high dependence, therefore, amongst these sectors for imports to the various sectors of the economy. So, because it's a meta resource, we must make sure that we put in place a policy framework that resource, the source of that resource is the domestic economy. Three, semiconductors are at the heart of any electronic system and constitute around 30% of the total value of the bill of materials. And in case of high-end equipment and mobile handsets, this content goes up to 60%. So if that's the kind of value, total value in the bill of materials, we must make sure that we have a robust semiconductor sector in this country. But of course, as far as this sector in India is concerned, it's at a nascent stage. And I've always believed that we have the intrinsic strength to become really global leaders in this particular field. Though we do not make chips here, the fact is that our design industry is growing very fast. The top 10 fabless global companies and the top 25 semiconductor companies have operations in India. And several product design companies have also established their base here. Nanoelectronics industry in India is also gaining momentum. So if we are already establishing ourselves as a premier chip design club, we need to leverage that by way of technology absorption in the semiconductor sector. And so, because we have a fairly well-developed semiconductor design industry with 120 design units, nearly 2,000 chips are being designed annually in India alone. More than 20,000 engineers are engaged in various aspects of chip design and verification. And annually, India is generating about $2 billion US dollars in revenue for the chip design services. So we have the chip design services available here. We have enormous high quality human resource available here. So we should be able to leverage that to ensure that we can develop the semiconductor manufacturing sector in India and generate revenues up to about $15 billion from wafer manufacturing industries based on design alone. So while the future holds a lot of promise, we have, of course, enormous multiple challenges that shackle the growth and can shackle the growth of this industry. Presently, of course, semiconductor wafers, semiconductors, and a majority of high-tech components are being imported. The manufacturing capabilities for semiconductors are highly capital intensive and have to deal with constantly changing technology. Of course, we all know that globally there are about 5-6 real major players in the field. So there are very few people in the field as well. Development of supply chain is essential for the manufacture of electronic products with higher domestic value addition. An analysis by the Federation of Indian Export Organization reveals that cost disabilities, including transaction costs borne by Indian exporters, range from 19 to 22%. In contrast, exporters in developed economies pay only 2 to 3% of transactional costs.